broadcasting to a couple different platforms. So if you're wherever you are, if you're on our page or on the Facebook group or YouTube or wherever you are, just leave us a comment, hit the like button, hit the heart button. Let us know you're here. We do this every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern. And this is kind of like a tech support for us. We get to see if our technology is working and linking up and sync into all these places. So just let us know you're here with us. You're live. If you're watching the replay, just type the word replay in the comments too. We're going to be watching the comments on multiple platforms here. And we like to see your names pop up. We like to see you say hi. We like to see who's watching and who's getting some value out of the group. So let us know if you're here live with us or for the replay. I'm pretty excited about today. We're going to be opening up the space here in the group for you to ask questions. So if you have questions about how to fill your dance studio with simple Facebook ads, we're here to answer those questions for you. A couple things to get you kind of primed up and prepared for that is just to ask yourself a couple things. First of all, what challenges are you having right now when it comes to filling up your dance studio? Maybe you've tried some ads in the past and had some struggles getting things working. Maybe you've tried other processes and you're just not sure about Facebook, whatever it is. Form a question around that. And maybe you have other questions that don't have anything to do with Facebook ads. That's fine too. We're here to answer questions about filling up your dance studio with students, right? And that's what it's all about. So just let us know in the chat if you're live or if you're on the replay. Let us know what your questions are, and we're going to start compiling those questions. Last week, we did a training on this, and we got a ton of questions in, and we kind of have categorized them a little bit, but I'd love to just really make this super valuable for you that are on here with us live or watching the replay, asking those questions, and let us get to those and answer those questions with you. So we're going to spend time, whatever it takes. We're going to try and keep it within 45 minutes, I'd say, as far as answering questions. But if we have to go longer, we go longer. If it ends up being shorter, it'll be shorter. It's really going to depend on the questions that you guys submit. And so really what we want to do is just get you off that hamster wheel, right? And help you to stop doing all the crazy stuff like boosting random posts or trying to rely on a website or the bring a buddy stuff or hiring an agency or 5 different agencies in a year, posting relentlessly on social media. And just, we wanted to help you just make it simple. I want to bring it down to just like a simple process. So we're going to be answering those questions on how to fill your dance studio. I'd love to get the questions around Facebook ads, but if you have other questions, feel free to type those in as well. And drop them in the comments. We've helped, like more than 400 schools enroll, 28,000 plus students collectively, and we're doing it by just breaking all the rules. We're not doing anything like all the gurus out there are teaching all sorts of different things. We're saying, does it have to be that way? And we're asking the question and we're solving it by just saying, what's the simplest way? What's the easiest way? How can we leverage our time? And really it's not about like blowing up your studio and having 100 students tomorrow, right? Because we know that's not healthy. We want to help you create a healthy business. And so, Travis, how we do? We getting some comments in? We getting some questions yet?
Yeah, some comments coming in. I think some people are sending in questions through different platforms, so I was kind of trying to navigate both of them.
Yeah,
what I love about these live sessions and it being an open forum. Even last week when we did the training, it was meant to be a training, but people were asking questions specific to their school, and we were able to help them get some clarity on what they're going through. So please make sure you ask us anything. Start dropping the questions in. No matter what platform you're on, we're getting them. I'm checking them while John's talking to make sure we can get you those answers, and we're going to start compiling that. And while you're submitting those questions, I just want to kind of go over how fast things can change. And as we look at how fast things have really changed over the last year to 2 years, if you think the world has changed fast, your school can actually change fast too if you have the right processes in place. So what we've watched is really dance studio owners that unfortunately banging their head against the wall. I actually just spoke with someone today that talked about all these things that they're trying to do that just used to work but aren't working anymore, and going out to schools or events or having all these different things in the school. They just want to teach classes, and unfortunately all these other things are taking over their time where they don't even have the energy. They're kind of giving their classes their leftover time, which is the opposite of how we want to teach our classes. So just really getting exhausted trying to figure out how to fill the classes. And really, there's a way to do it with just a simple Facebook ad. It doesn't have to be all these different things. There's really a way we can implement a few different things. And then all of a sudden, what you'll do is you'll start to see a bunch of people getting in the door, making an extra 6+ K in revenue each month. And they're really just doing the stuff that they want to do. The school owners that have been able to implement a process to get rid of all the things that bang their head against the wall, now they're able to do the stuff that they want to do. They can go to the events they want to go to, but not like have to go to. And that's really how fast things can change. This is stuff that happens in a matter of weeks, couple of months. It's not something that you need to set a goal 10 years from now for. If you have the right process in place, it can be a really quick change. So, we've really taught this to every single member of our student magnet, and it's really just so simple. So I'd love to hear some questions. Start typing in your questions about how you can fill your classes of your dance studio using simple Facebook ads. Maybe you've tried Facebook ads before, you're trying them now, or they didn't work, or they're kind of working, or you don't even know what worked. How do I define what works? And we'll start answering those questions live. And if you're in the replay, please make sure you get the questions in there, because we're constantly checking the replays. When we get a comment on one of these replays, we get notified right away. We get in there and get that same value that the live people are getting. So drop those questions in the chat, because we really want to make sure that we can go over those and monitor them and get the answers. So I'm going to jump right back into the chat, John, and see what's coming in.
I love it. Yeah, get those questions in. I know we compiled a few questions ahead of time, but if you've got questions about anything, systems, processes, there's a lot of dance studio owners that are still doing things, I would say, the old-fashioned way, right? Where you're just kind of like doing everything and just trying to, quote unquote, get your name out there. And it's just sort of like this blanket sort of like general, I don't even want to say marketing. It's more just like just doing everything you possibly can out in the community, or asking students to bring a friend. And we just found that that's a hard way to do it. It's the old way, and there's a much better way to do things. And really, that's running a simple Facebook ad. So we don't make it complicated. We don't get you out there doing 50 different ads and all sorts of different posts and going on all these different platforms. We figured out a way to do it with just one simple ad. Very, very simple. So that way you're not out there like trying to do a million things, and then on top of that, posting on your page organically and doing door hangers and getting in somebody the other day mentioned the yellow pages, and I was like, I don't even hardly remember the yellow pages. It was
I don't even know if they still have a website, Yellow Pages.
I don't even know if they still have a website. I think they tried to like get on board with that for a while. Like, well, if you get in our print, we'll also put you on our website. But I think, it's just kind of a big waste of money, big waste of time, big waste of energy. The way we've seen it happen so many times, like over 400 times, is that they join the student magnet, and then within a couple of months, they're just like getting people in the door, and they're just like excited, and they never would ever want to go back to the old way. And so go ahead and start putting those questions in. Let's hear those questions in the chat. Because we love interacting live. It's my favorite thing. So, I guess is it okay if I start breaking down some of the main categories, Travis?
Yeah, John, I'm trying to compile some of these categories, and you can see the chat as well. So how would you kind of break down what you've seen come in so far?
So essentially, it's really kind of three different things. It's getting leads from Facebook, maybe not in those exact words, but like, how do you get Facebook ads to work? And then other people have maybe tried Facebook ads, or maybe they've even figured that out and they're getting leads, but a lot of the leads aren't booking an appointment. And then the third part is running out of budget, basically. Like I spend this money and then it runs out, and I can't keep spending that if it's not bringing in results. So those are pretty much the three mains. So if you have a question that relates to that, stick around. We're going to answer those definitely coming up right in a couple of seconds. But if you have other questions that aren't within one of those buckets, getting leads, booking appointments, or what we like to call choreographing your marketing so that it pays for itself. That's kind of my favorite part. But if you don't have a question that fits into one of those, that's fine. Go ahead and ask your question in the chat as well, and we'll dive into that. But if you're ready, let's see some comments here. Just type the word ready if you're ready to expand your mind and really see what's possible. Just type the word ready in the chat right now. If you're watching the replay, you can also type the word ready in the chat, and that will actually alert us to know that you're on here watching and you're ready, and that'll help us get ready to answer those questions as they come in if you're watching on the replay too. So definitely live or replay, comment the word ready. Let us know. So let's just jump right into it. So I want to talk about getting fresh leads on Facebook. So, there's a few points within this one category as far as like getting leads into the school. And the main one is obviously advertising with Facebook ads. But I think a lot of people wonder, like, well, what do I even run? What's the best offer that's working right now? And so I'll jump into a little bit of that too. And then really, I think the third part of that main thing is just keeping it simple. There's a lot of schools that want to just complicate things and make it really complex, and it's not necessary for a local business, especially a martial or a dance school or anything like that, like a small business that's in your town. And I say small business because you got like 1, 2, 3 locations, right? If you're a dance studio and you want to do marketing, it's not complicated. It's really very, very easy. And I think there's too many people out there giving information to make it sound so complicated that they're like, you know what? Why don't you just hire me to do it? That's really not our plan at all. We don't even offer that service. We only teach people how to do it themselves because we know it's a benefit to you. So we'll get into that. And then the next category we're going to cover is really booking those classes and filling up those first classes. And then finally, we'll talk about ways that you can actually choreograph your marketing so that the advertising pays for itself. And really, it all works together in a system. And it's very systematic, and one part leads to the next. And so it's not, like just some kind of hodgepodge, throw together a bunch of stuff, but we're really looking at like putting the pieces together in a machine that really fuels itself. And what we found is that with all the school owners that we've worked with, usually they have 1 or 2 of these parts together already in their school. And they just need somebody to shine some light onto one of those parts, and then things just take off. And so, I'm glad that these questions are coming up. I'd love to dive deeper into these. So, while we're answering the questions, keep typing those questions in, and we're going to do our best to answer. I think they're coming in from multiple platforms here. We're trying to compile them all together.
Yeah.
It gets a little tricky sometimes, but, we're just trying to make sure we get the value out to as many dance studio owners as possible. Because we want to answer your questions. So go ahead and type them in there, and we'll get into those questions. So before I start really getting into answering these questions and going really deep, what would you say is the biggest struggle that you've run into when it comes to filling the mats or filling the floors or filling the school up with students in your school to get dancers in and on the floors? What is the biggest challenge that you're running into? Is it the booking of appointments? Is it the running of ads? Is it trying to get that budget to go through? Is it something else? I'm very curious to know. I said we would love to like customize this to anybody that's watching live or on the replay. And I'd also love to know, what are you doing right now to grow your school? What kind of steps are you taking? What kind of advertising are you doing? How are you getting people in the door right now? And then while you guys are answering that, you want me to jump in, Travis? You still managing chat over there? It looks like it's kind of busy.
Yeah, I think, just to kind of give you an idea, John, is, I talked to a lot of studio school owners really just dealing with consistency. How do I consistently get students in? Like we all have some things that we know we can go grab, like maybe 10 students or 15, or, fill up a certain recital that we need to get filled up. And there's different strategies for that. But how do I get something going consistently where I can just focus on owning a business and not owning a job, and really just focus on the quality of instruction and the quality of our performance and the quality of what's going on inside the building? That seems to me be the biggest hurdle, and the biggest solution is just a consistent flow of new leads. And then not just leads that are there to try things out for a week, but leads that are going to show commitment to, the program. And the last thing we want is someone to sign up and then 3 weeks before the recital, they're like, we weren't really that interested in this anyway. Like they're a part of this team and this program. So those seem to be the 2 things that are coming a lot, is consistent leads of people that are interested in this being a long-term thing for them.
Love it. Absolutely. Yeah. So I think when I hear that word consistent, I think what pops up is some kind of beliefs that a lot of school owners have, like, well, I've tried to do a boosted post, or I tried to get into Facebook ads and it worked for a little bit, but then it just stopped working. And, a boosted post, obviously, we don't want to be boosting posts. Hopefully you figured out by now that when you post something on your Facebook page, Facebook is pretty quick to be like, other page owners who have boosted a post like this have gotten 7 gazillion views and 50,000 likes, and you just have to spend $5 and you can get that too. And we know that just doesn't work. And really the right way is to get a targeted ad up inside of Meta Business Manager. That used to be called Facebook's Power Editor. Just now they call it Meta Business Manager or Meta Ads Manager. And that's really where we need to build the ads. And it's a targeted ad. We can focus on, if you really want to get into the technicality of it, it's moms, because we're marketing mostly for children, right? For the dance classes. So we want moms because they're making the decision. They're the ones who are on Facebook more. And so doing that is pretty much, we do what we call broad targeting. We're just like targeting the radius. We're not looking for people interested in anything in particular, just like moms. And so that's one of the biggest secrets that I love to share, because, it makes things easy, and then it makes your audience bigger. And I think there's some other school owners who have maybe even hired somebody to do this and still didn't get any results. We've talked to quite a few school owners who have, hired somebody who's promised them the world and said they're going to get them 50 students next month. And then they sign up and they pay them. And then, there's some fine print in their guarantee where it's like, get this many students or you don't pay. And then they don't get that many students and they still paid, but there was something in the fine print that they didn't do, right? Or there's some step they didn't follow or some process. So, we know that kind of stuff's going to go away once the market kind of matures a little bit and figures out that that's not even a healthy way to grow. I mean, unless you have 500 to 1,000 students right now, 50 students next month is insane. Like that's crazy. You can't handle that. So we want to help you build a healthy studio, and we want to make sure it's a long game. And could we get you 50 students next month? Probably, but it would be a complete waste if you did that. It would be a disservice to you. So we don't want to do that. We want to do it in a consistent way that is a nice, steady growth. And then once you've got the process going, the great thing is you just can kind of turn the dial up. Like if you're getting a few students every month and you want to get a few more, you can just kind of put a little more in to get a little more out. And once you've got it all choreographed together, once you've got it really working like a machine, then it's easy to turn that dial up. And I think that's a huge mistake that some people make, is they try to just get it all right now. They're in a hurry to get students in the door, and it ends up actually killing the marketing because you're not able to complete the process. And that's when budgets run out. That's when people aren't showing up for their appointments. That's when they aren't sticking around long term, because you end up, like you said earlier, servicing all the other things except the stuff that's the most important, which is running a quality class, right?
Right.
So that's pretty much my take on consistency as far as that goes.
Well, John, so I had a question come in from Andrea. She wanted to know, what is an expected turnaround? Because she's gone with agencies before, and they're like, well, it really takes like 3 or 4 months to really dial things in and start to see results. And she's like, look, I'm paying for this out of pocket. This isn't coming out of the business budget. This is coming out of my family's savings. So if you would define something as successful or effective or consistent, when should you start seeing results and start seeing a return on any type of marketing spend?
I love that question. It's a great question. So it depends on how you're defining success. So let me help you kind of define success. For an agency, they should be setting you up with that kind of success plan from the beginning. When we used to have an agency, it was one of the first things we did as part of our onboarding was like, all right, here's the process. Here's the timeline. Here's what you're going to see. If they're telling you 3 to 4 months, though, that seems kind of long for me. And I think it's kind of, and I'm not saying that the agency that you're working with right now is doing this, but it's become a little bit of a trope in the marketing agency world in general that if we can just get them to stay 3 months, they'll stay with us. And in our research, like we're in a lot of these groups with other marketers because we're learning stuff too. We're not, I'm not saying we know everything. We're always trying to learn stuff, but listening to the way that ad agency owners talk about their clients is like kind of turns my stomach sometimes, because they're just after getting the revenue and not really after like how, like the question I ask is, of course as an agency owner, I want you to stay longer. How do I do that? For me, the answer is do a better job. Sadly, that's not the conversation that's going on in a lot of these groups. I hate to burst your bubble. And really, even the best agency owners in the world, like if you look across the board as an average and you took just like the top, maybe like 50% of those agency owners, and you said, how long do clients stick around? We've actually seen some studies on this. It's 3 months. So I think the average agency is not keeping a client longer than 3 months for 2 reasons. For us, I remember it was pretty much the same way, and we were probably the best in the world at this as an agency when we did it. We don't do it anymore. We don't work as an agency. But we would have one of two scenarios happen. Scenario number one is we get ads up and running. We teach the process doesn't get followed well enough, or the client doesn't quite understand the process or have enough skin in the game or care enough about the process. They've turned it all over to the agency and they've said, you just get me people, I'll do my thing. And because cold leads are different than warm leads, they treat them differently. It doesn't work out. And after 3 months, they go, look, I put money into this. It didn't work. And then no matter how many times we say, well, you didn't follow the process, they don't get it. That's a pretty rare occasion with us because we really kind of made it mandatory to follow our process. And I think that's probably why we were one of the better agencies, if not the best agency in business doing it. But then what we realized was being an agency was actually a disservice to most of our clients because they had the mindset of, I just want to hand it over to you and you do it. And it was kind of like not making a lot of sense because as a school owner, I mean, it's the most important part of keeping your business alive is at least having an understanding of how it goes, right? And I think what a lot of school owners would do is make the mistake of trying to outsource it because they didn't understand it or know it. And there's a point when you could outsource it and should probably. But what we found is that even bringing that in-house, once you learn the process and having somebody in-house be able to take it over, no one cares as much about your business as you do. So that's scenario number one. But the more common one would be 3 months goes by and we get the call, hey, this is working great. I can't handle any more students. I need to pause. And then they stop their growth. They turn their ads off. And then they're on to the next shiny thing 3 months later when the attrition has caught up and they need more students. So it's kind of a, for an agency, it's a tough gig for the clients and for the agency owners. So that's kind of why we saw it as a disservice. We've decided that it's better for you to do it yourself. So sorry, that was a long answer to a short question. The question was, how do I measure success? I got onto a tangent there. Measuring success. I would say when you click an ad on, you should see leads within 1 or 2 days. If you're not seeing leads, like people saying, I'm interested in this, I want this free week pass or whatever you're advertising, within 1 to 2 days, you should see a steady flow of leads, depending on your budget. I would say a good budget is about $20 a day in most markets. That's going to vary depending on your goals, depending on how many students you want to enroll. But I'd say a nice, safe starting budget's $20 a day. And within 1 to 2 days, you should start seeing leads coming in one every day or 2 days minimum. A lot of school owners that set that budget will see 2 a day, 3 a day. It just depends on a lot of different factors. But definitely within 1 to 2 days, leads should start coming in. Those leads should be booking an appointment to come into your school within 1 week. So that would be the next kind of time zone. So you get the ads turned on, they go active, you start spending money. Within the first couple of days, you should start seeing leads. If you're not, something's broken on the ad and that needs to get fixed. 7 days, they should be coming in for an appointment. So day 1, you got leads. By day 7, you should see your first appointment. And then you should have a pretty steady flow of appointments coming in. And what we found is about half the leads book an appointment. So if you got 10 leads in a week, you should have 5 appointments on week 2. If you got 20 leads in week 1, you should have 10 appointments in week 2. Making sense? And then from there, everybody should sign up for a paid trial on day 1. So if you're following the process that we show, that money, the return on your investment should be coming in right away. So within 2-3 weeks, you should start seeing that return coming in. And then what you should see balance out by about 6 weeks maximum, I'd say 3-4 weeks is sort of the average, is that the money you're bringing in from paid trials is actually paying for your ads. And then you've just got a bunch of really qualified paid trials on your floors that are learning, that are part of your school, that are kind of like already believe they've joined, that are ready to sign up for your full program within that first couple of weeks. So that's the timetable I usually see and how I measure success in our program. Every program is probably going to be different. But to me, that one makes the most sense. And it's the one that we settled on. We tried pretty much every possible offer, every possible scenario, every possible different like value ladder and different ways of doing things. And the way we figured it out is the best choreography for your marketing is run a free week trial, get leads within the first couple of days, get appointments in the first week, start selling paid trials within that second week, and start paying for your marketing from that point forward. So hopefully that was the shorter answer to the nice short question.
So John, and kind of to follow up, because I've had a couple people, Isabella, Andrea had a follow up to that, as far as, when you offer something for free, do you need to give away that whole thing for, like, hey, it sounds, and a lot of people wonder this, if I give away something for free, how is that financially beneficial for the school? How does that show commitment from the potential student?
I love it. What a great question. I can see we have some very savvy studio owners in our comments. So that's great. I love it. So the way that we actually, that's kind of part 3 of the process, right? So first is getting the leads in the door. The next is booking the appointments. If you're giving away a free week, we found that the free week offer is the best offer to run a Facebook ad, but it's the worst offer you can give away, because what happens, right? And so stick with me, because I'm going to bring it all together. But Facebook ads, love the free week. It's consistent. You can run it all year long, whatever season. If you're just doing registration season, or if you're bringing students in all year long, doesn't matter. That's perfect. The problem is when they come in, if they take one lesson and you're like, cool, you get a free week, so I'll see you next Wednesday, or, if it's Monday, I'll see you on your second class. Second class rolls around, and little Emma is playing Roblox, and mom's like, time for your next ballet lesson. And Emma's like, I'm playing Roblox, I don't want to go. Mom has no energy to argue with her about going, or no real incentive to make the commitment to say, let's go, right? Now, if she paid for a trial, absolutely. If mom has paid money, she's going to be like, put on that leotard, put on the tutu, we're going to class, I already paid for this, we're going to get our money's worth. And she's going to make sure that she creates a habit out of it and shows up, right? So how do you flip the switch? How do you go from free week to paid trial without being a bait and switch, without being slimy or salesy? Super easy. I'm going to lay it out for you right now, exactly how it goes. They come in for their first class. They take the class. They have a great time, right? They're excited. They're never going to be more excited about joining than after that first class, because it's new, it's fresh. They're excited. Everybody's doing their best to give a great class, right? At the end of class, you just give them an option to upgrade. So you say, hey, that's great. Emma's had a great time in class. You can see she did really good. Did you see how she did this? That was awesome. You're talking to mom. And then you say, well, listen, I see you're here on the free week. That's great. She can come in here all week for free in her workout clothes. No problem. We also have another offer. It's an introductory offer that I think is a little bit better, but I'll let you decide, Mrs. Smith. This is a full month for $87. Comes with the free leotard or tutu or shoes or whatever you want to give to them for their first, takeaway. I'd say it should be something around 15 to 20 bucks, your cost. You get the free leotard and you get the whole month to try it out. That way, little Emma here feels like part of the class, and she gets a whole month to give it a try. Which one's better for you? And then you're just silent from that point. And I think that's another mistake that a lot of studio owners make, is that they want to just keep talking until somebody says yes. And what that does is it interrupts a thought pattern for the person that's actually there trying to make a decision. If you just give them the two options, you get the free week in the regular workout clothes or street clothes, or you get the whole month for $87 with the free leotard, which one's better for you? It's simple. Then you're just silent. And that silence will give mom a chance to kind of go, well, let's see, I came here for the free week, but this is a good deal. It's a whole month. It's $87. That's probably about how much we would spend on dinner tonight. So it's not that much. I don't have to ask my husband. She's doing this processing. And if you start talking and interrupt that process, what happens is she goes, yeah, it sounds good. I think we'll just stick with the free week, and I'll think about it and I'll come back. And then you run into that whole process. If you give them the space to just kind of process it, and sometimes it's like 30 seconds to a minute. It feels like an eternity while you're just standing there staring at it. You're blinking your eyes like, okay, what are you going to do? And mom is just processing. Her dad's just processing. So once they process and they've had a chance to do it, 99%, I'll say 90%. I don't want to overcomplicate things, even though it's pretty much everybody, but 90% or better are going to say, yeah, let's do that. That's a much better deal. And they'll take that pay trial. And then what happens is that shift in mindset. So then no longer is Emma trying ballet. Emma has joined. And that might seem like just a little tiny difference, but so huge psychologically. It's so much It's a micro commitment that they naturally are ready to make. So you will not, if you do that correctly, just like I laid it out, no one's going to say, well, let me think about it, or I'm not sure, I need to check the budget, or I need to look over the calendar. None of that stuff comes up. It's just a tiny little change in mindset, but it changes the whole trajectory of that student's dance career for sure. For sure. So hopefully that's the right answer.
Yeah. I think you went into a lot of the other questions people were asking kind of about, Marley jumpers, free stuff. And I think that process is what's going to eliminate really dealing with any of that.
Definitely. Awesome. You guys getting some value out of this? If you're getting value, just type the word value in the comments right now, just like this, VALUE with an exclamation point. You can go all caps if you really want to let us know you're getting value out of it. But just type the word value.
Well, John, I did speak with someone earlier today. They're not on the live call, but they asked me to ask this question because they're going to check out the replay. But they're very big into systems, just like any good dance teacher probably should be, right? Because when you teach, there's systems, there's processes, there's planning, there's strategic things going on. This all sounds great. How do you incorporate all that into a system without having to kind of get into information overload, right? Because if we leave this call and it's like, all right, I'm going to go research how to do all this stuff, or I'm going to go, start practicing this type of free week and things like that, we can kind of get into information overload. What would you say about someone that's looking for more of a process that they can kind of just follow?
That's a great question. I love that. Kind of leads me right into where I'd like to go next, which is just to invite you to what we call a game plan call. It's a free call. You can get on the call with either Ignacio, who's probably on the live stream right now, or Travis or myself. And basically what we do is just kind of go through a game plan with you on how to exactly choreograph your marketing specifically for your school. It's a free call. There's absolutely nothing for sale. You cannot, I should say. It's impossible for you to buy anything on this call. So leave your credit card in the wallet, in the purse. Don't bring it to the call. We don't want to sign you up for anything. We love these game plan calls because it helps us get to know you and your school a little bit better. It helps you to kind of understand how that process would look. And then, we can really kind of diagnose, is there a part of the process that's broken, and give you a game plan on how to fix it. Sometimes it's just a matter of us pushing you to like a free resource that we know will help you. And then you're off to the races and you're good to go. Sometimes it's a little bit more advanced and we're like, look, we can help you in our program, which is our core offer called the Student Magnet Program. But that's something that we can't tell you to sign up for until we actually talk to you. And so that's what we do these game plans for, is just really for you to kind of figure out what is the system, where's the process. We get to ask you some questions. We get to say like, hey, what's going on in your studio? Wow, what a mind-blowing, ground-shaking question. What kind of struggles are you running into? And then we really can get deeper into things. And that helps us come up with a very strategic plan on how to carry things out, give you the systems and processes. We already have the systems and processes built. We've done this hundreds of times over and over and over again. And so it's really, a matter of like, what is it specifically for your school? How can we help you really get into the studio and really be able to do more of what you want to do, which is teach classes and run the business, and not so much run around like a attention deprived teenager who needs to post 10 million times on Facebook just to get one like, right? We don't want to do that. Maybe you're into that. Maybe that's cool for you.
Or a bunch of likes, but no one actually ever comes in. They're like, I saw all your posts. That's great. Right. Oh, did you want to bring your daughter in? Yeah, we'll come down sometime. Yeah, love your content though.
Yeah. Keep posting the videos, right? So if you want that game plan call, just type the word game, GAME, in the comments right now. No matter where you're watching, if you're on Facebook, you can type it there. If you're on YouTube, you can type it there. If you are on our live stream page, you can type it there. But wherever you are, go ahead and type the word game in the comments or in the chat. And basically what will happen is we will plug in some programs for you. We'll give you a real game plan on what you can actually do in order to grow your dance studio. It's really what we're experts in and what we specialize in. And so we really would just love to build just a community of dance studio owners who are really great at what they do, who are known in the community. And so if that's you, just type the word game in the comments right now. And we'll just ask you, like I said, we'll just ask some questions when we get on that phone call. It's a quick call. It's like 5 to 10 minutes, 15 at the most, depending on how deep you want to get into the answers. But we'll just say like, what problems are you running into? And then from there, we'll see if it's a good fit. We'll talk to you about that. If not, we'll probably point you to some good free resources, or maybe even refer you to somebody else who could do a better job. And if for some reason it's not, it's no hard feelings. We're not in the process. Like, just so you know, like, we don't love getting on the phone and convincing people to do something they don't want to do. We're not in like the sales game. I wouldn't consider us like
That's
some
my
kind of,
least favorite question, John, when I talk to studio owners where they're like, well, convince me. I'm like,
yeah, no,
I mean, does that work for students that come in? If they're just like, well,
right.
convince me that I want to be a dancer. That
Yeah,
student, even if you do, 3 weeks later, they're gonna be like, I'm only doing this because you convinced me to do it.
right.
Right?
Not interested. Opt out. So if you want to get on a call and get some real value, a game plan, just type the word game in the comments right now. And, I know that we've had many, many members of our student magnet program say that's the best decision they've ever made for their business. And I know for me, it's way more rewarding to see a school owner who's growing and experiencing more freedom and doing it in a healthy way. That's not like some kind of insane explosive, but really like a consistent, healthy way of growth. And I love seeing that. It's the biggest reward for me. So go ahead and type the word game in the comments right now if you want to get on that call. And then we've got some time opened up on our calendars today and tomorrow, maybe the next day, depending on how full it gets. And, we're really interested in finding out what part of the process are you missing, what challenges are you facing, and really kind of learning more about how we can help. And then give you an actual game plan of actual steps that you can take to start improving the studio. And we're really not looking for like, the Dolly Dinkle type school owners who just like slap together a little curriculum and you're not really given a good curriculum or building a good dance career for these kids. We're not looking for that. Now, you don't have to be like, top of the, only accepting the top students. Like, we're working with school owners who love to help their students, really. So if you're passionate about the dance, if you're passionate about the business, and really most importantly, passionate about your students, and you want to change their lives and help them, we want to help you do that. And really, that's what it's all about. So go ahead and type the word game in the comments right now. And as we wrap up, any more questions coming in since I started talking my head off over here, Travis?
No, I think that's it that came in, John. Good stuff today.
Okay.
But if you are
Awesome.
watching the replay, like we said, go ahead and type in those questions. We'll make sure we get back to them and get some clarity for you.
Absolutely. So final invitation, type the word game in the comments right now. You're going to get a ton of insight, a ton of value out of this, regardless of whether you end up joining our program or just getting a free resource or whatever it is. Just type the word game in the comments right now. It's really nothing to lose, everything to gain. So I just want to thank you for joining us today. We're coming in right on time. Look at that, under 40 minutes. Perfect. So thank you for joining us. It's always a great time helping everybody out. And I hope you got some value out of this. That's all we got. So we will see you here next Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern, right here on the same channel you're on right now. Same bat time, same bat channel, like they used to say in the 70s, right? Or the 60s.
I'm not that old, John. That's up to you.
I'm not either, but